Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, Puerto Rico, we got 950 earthquakes that have hit so far this year, and yeah, it's only January 10th. Wow. Say what? I mean, that's like incredible. To see a swarm of that magnitude, it's just incredible. There's a little video there that gets into magma and all the good stuff. So the worst one was a 6.4 that hit early Tuesday, and it killed at least one person. The tectonics in the Puerto Rico area are dominated by the convergence between the North American and Caribbean tectonic plates. And it is an area that can also get tsunamis as well. So following all these quakes, the situation in Puerto Rico remains dire. And don't forget, these guys went through the hurricane and just power out in some areas for a year. They've been through an awful lot down there, and you got nearly 1 million people still without power, hundreds of thousands without water, and a couple thousand in shelters. And if we look at what's going on now, we see that there was a 5.2 that happened recently, and we got 51 quakes in the last 24 hours. Just look at that activity. Still going on. So as always, we will send our prayers and best wishes to our friends and families in Puerto Rico. Almost 250,000 urged to flee Victoria as scorching temperatures, erratic winds worsen the bushfires in Australia. This is still ongoing. It's just staggering, the scope of it. In fact, if you look over here, 1.5 million acres. That's massive. And now, this two fires have joined into a megafire, which we had talked about a couple of days ago. It probably happening, and so they have merged. So you have two wildfires in New South Wales and Victoria that have merged and forming a fire covering 2,300 square miles. Just massive what we're seeing going on here. The scope, we've talked about anywhere between 500 million and 1 billion animals lost. They were talking about killing camels because of trying to save water. And obviously all of the koalas and all the other animals, it's just such a devastating situation. Let's keep sending the prayers and intention for more rain and for this to be over and done and the healing to begin. Here we see widespread devastation, 41 people dead after heavy rains hit Angola. And again, it's all around the globe with the floods and the rains. And so these rains have left 41 perish. And according to the Interior Minister, the capital city, Luanda, is among the worst hit areas. And this event follows severe regional drought, which affected 1.7 million people, 2.2 million heads of cattle, and 1.2 million goats and sheep. And obviously, food and water and the crop situation around the globe is just building. It's just another area that we're seeing tremendous changes. Heavy snow blankets Saudi Arabia. Yeah, Saudi Arabia, the northwest province of Tabuk, Lebanon, and Syria as well. Extremes, extreme heat, extreme cold, extreme fluctuations, and extreme storms. And there's video here. And can you believe it's Saudi Arabia? It's not what you would typically think. Icy roads impact travel ahead. Major multi-hazard storm coming. Snow damaging winds across the central U.S. And so this is going to be starting today, January 10th. And the storm's going to shift to the East Coast by Sunday the 12th. Heavy snow and ice obviously will lead to dangerous conditions as well. And there's some more video there for you guys to see. And we have 11 states from Texas to Michigan on alert for probable flash flooding as well. And when we get into the spring, it's going to be interesting. And yet here we see record challenging warmth to thaw wintry northeast. So, we've had all sorts of changes as far as the weather. And good friend Larry down in Texas was telling me how it's a beautiful day in the 70s today, but we're going to get some snow tonight. So that's what you have, that just rapid extremes. Of course, Texas really does get some intense weather. And we have an explosive bombogenesis engulfing Iceland. The North Atlantic is developing explosive storms almost on a daily basis as we see this cyclonic pattern right there. And it actually leads to a blizzard rescue on an Icelandic glacier of some tourists that, again, we saw it. We've seen it out in the desert where people that are not used to the desert come out here and go on for a mountain hike and stuff. And, then they realize they drank all their water. They don't have any more water. They're starting to feel faint. And Cindy's shaking her head right here with me. We saw it this year when we were over in Sedona.
We did, yeah. And people they're not prepared. They're just simply not prepared.
Yeah, so, again, it's good to listen to locals closely, whether it's an Icelandic glacier or the middle of Death Valley. If you're just going by and you're a tourist, be aware of things. When I was in Puerto Rico, we ventured out to the west coast to Rincon and, saw a whole bunch of crosses there on the beach and asked one of the locals, what's that all about? And, it's just all the people that die because of the waves. It's great surfing, but then there's riptides too. So then they were saying, avoid over here, avoid over there. And we're like, thank you for the info. We will. It's just another thing to be aware of. So Mount Popo in Mexico, we have an explosion at 37,000 feet as more and more volcanoes come online, wake up, and are adding to the deepening grand solar minimum conditions that we have going on. So out of live science, we see a mystery of a weird hum heard around the world solved. And what was it? Well, it was magma is what they're saying. It's movement of magma underground. We have tremendous changes going on. And I wonder what the maps will look like in 100 years. If there will be any serious changes with, parts of countries and continents underwater, maybe new continents starting to form, new islands coming up. What do you guys think? Do you think in 100 years' time the globe is going to look significantly different? I really want to hear your opinions on that. With all the changes that we see going on, how much do you think things are going to be changed in 100 years? And I venture to say there'll be a lot of people that say we won't be here in 100 years. But I think the world's going to go on. I do. I think that things are changing. And over here, there's another one of those mystery booms. This is in Alabama. And there's actually a website called Bama Boom Tracker. So you can go to Bama Boom Tracker, and they are tracking booms. And honestly, this to me, it sounds like an explosion. So, I wonder about something being built underground. And this is a horrible thing. We have an Indian woman rising from the dead during funeral preparations after an apparent misdiagnosis. Oh, please take your time. Take your time. There's a good reason why some cultures wait a period of time before burying people, and this is one. So she was admitted into a private hospital. She was only 55, and the medical team there tried to revive her all morning. She was pronounced dead by noon, having already succumbed to a high fever. And then she was taken home by her distraught family members, kept in the front yard of the home while the close family informed her friends and other relatives who traveled around surrounding villages for the funeral. They were making final preparations when the unthinkable happened. She opened her eyes. And some of the assembled mourners were convinced that it was a real-life miracle. Some family members explained it was most likely misdiagnosed, maybe a short-lived coma. And though rare, such cases are not unheard of. And actually, a good friend of mine that I interviewed here a long time ago, actually like 2 years ago, she was dead, clinically dead for 35 minutes, toe tagged, and they had her set off to go down to the morgue, and then she came back. And she was changed after that event for sure. And she had a amazing story of what she saw on the other side. It was actually very positive. Human body temperature in the U.S. has decreased over time, study finds. So what do you think it is? Is it more Draco-reptilian DNA being merged in with us, lowering our body temperatures, making us ready? Well, I mean, here again, this is science. We all grew up thinking, hey, 98.6 is it. But our body temperature is changing. And so the body temperatures of people here in the United States in the 1800s is actually 1.06 degrees warmer than now. More than a full degree. So what are they blaming on? Guess. Climate change. Yes. Yeah, thinking of another way to tax you again now. Well, probably. They're always thinking of ways to tax, but it's changes. Everything does change. Nothing stays the same. Everything's always mutating, changing, as everything is ultimately energy when we get down to it. So they're doing a homeless relocation site, and unfortunately, it's right on top of some buried munitions and mustard gas and things like that. So, can't they find a better place? And this is in Santa Rosa, and there's video there as well. Not sure if the homeless people are going to be too comfortable knowing that they're sleeping on top of buried munitions and mustard gas. Yeah. So women overtake men as the majority of U.S. workforce. Boy, have things changed, have they not? There's actually more women in the workforce than men now. Welcome to 2020. The terrifying danger of our just-in-time food delivery system, which many people might not realize it, but this is the case. If you go into most grocery stores and you go in the back, they really don't keep stuff like they used to in the old days. It's all about just-in-time delivery. That way, all the food's fresh. It rotates. It gets changed out. You don't have stuff rotting. You don't have as much spoilage and waste, but the fact is that if something happens major, food's going to be gone in a heartbeat. And then what are we going to do? If there is some sort of breakdown, that's where we have to be prepared. That's where people have to have their own stock of food, also have seeds, a way to grow your own food, all those things. Again, it's another reason to always be prepared. And, preparation is definitely something that can save lives. So my friends, thank you for your support over on Patreon, and become a Patreon and keep the channel going, or support over on Ko-Fi. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to the second channel. There's different videos that go up there. It's EEARTS. And as always, my friends, I look forward to your comments. Stay prepared out there. God bless and namaste.